In this video, we're going to be talking about how to overcome the triggers of marijuana. Stay tuned. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another episode here at Sobriety University. On this channel, we talk about addiction and recovery related topics. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the triggers of marijuana and how to overcome them. So first question might be, what's a trigger? Well, a trigger is any situation, behavior, person, place, or thing that comes up that brings back memories of a specific time, kind of almost like a trauma. Now, these can be good things. So like, for example, when I smell a certain scent, it reminds me of like when I was a kid and when I was feeling happy at certain points in time. Other times though, like let's say I'm seeing a certain location where, especially like where I used to smoke. There's like a house I used to live in where I used to deal, and I got in a lot of trouble there, and it's whenever I drive by it, I feel like a little twinge of anxiety, and I kind of remember what that life was like when I was using there. And it can also sometimes be a little jarring and bring up a lot of discomfort. So why is this important in the context of getting clean and sober? Well, initially when one's getting clean from any substance, and here we're going to be talking about marijuana, one's particularly vulnerable for things to happen, for relapse to occur, for, I don't know, just to be thrown off the path by kind of little things, because basically one hasn't adjusted yet to living life without. And I know this was me especially when I was trying to quit at the beginning. I would have like these kind of goals to be able to quit. I'm like, I'm not going to use anymore. So maybe something would come up, like a stressor at work. And in the past, that's exactly what I would have done, is when something stressful would come up, I would have turned to weed. And so because I hadn't had separated enough time for myself from the weed, I would still go back to that behavior. So of course I would be at home again at the end of the night smoking weed with the bong in my hand. I'd be like, what the heck? I had all these aspirations just like 5 hours ago. Well, that's what the triggers are. And so in this video, we're going to be talking about how we can overcome them and kind of some strategies to use so that when they come up, we don't go back to picking up the bag, or we don't go back to calling the dealer. And so on that note, number one is going to be deleting numbers from the phone. So this was particularly helpful because I know sometimes that when I would be scrolling through my phone, like maybe I'm going to hit up the parents or something, I would see dad. Right next to it, there's like, let's say a guy named Doug, and Doug was the guy I used to deal with and who sold me drugs, or maybe his name was just dealer. And of course, I would see that and I'd be like, wow, I don't really want to talk to my dad anymore. I just kind of want to smoke weed. So deleting those numbers, pretty much anyone that I associated with weed, really helped in kind of not having to worry about running into those names accidentally. Or for example, like in messages, like when you type in someone's name, like it lists all the other names that have that letter in it. So like, obviously you can put the two together. Type in B, all of a sudden Bud Guy comes up. And it's like, okay, I meant to talk to Bob, but instead I'm now thinking about the Bud Guy, and I gotta hit him up and all that. And so yeah, again, deleting those numbers was very helpful. And then of course, if they were to hit me up, for example, it would just be a loose number, and then I would deal with that trigger in the moment. However, it just really prevented kind of the spiraling to occur and just accidentally running into it by when I wasn't intending to. So number two is going to be getting exercise. So this can be a really great thing for when you are triggered, to get out there, kind of move, kind of let some of that energy and steam out, run around a bit, kind of let go of that angst and anger maybe you might be holding on to. I know this has been super helpful for me. Whenever I was getting triggered in those first few months, I would go for a run. And I would start to feel that natural endorphin high. I would feel like I could breathe again. And that was enough to make me kind of say, you know what, I'm not gonna think about weed anymore for the next few hours at least, which was sometimes long enough to make it through the rest of the day. And so exercise has been huge in kind of staying away from triggers or dealing with triggers when they happen. Number three is getting into recovery and then having someone that I can reach out to when I'm feeling triggered. So that's what's great about support groups and stuff. And I have a video on the power of support groups. It's going to be linked down below. Definitely feel free to check that out. It kind of talks about a lot of the pros that come from support groups. And one of the big things about support groups is that I can meet a bunch of people that are in the same headspace, maybe a little bit further along on their journey, or in some cases, way farther along on their journey. I know the person that I asked to sponsor and get coached by right away, he was like almost 5-6 years without using, so I really trusted his opinion. And now the person that I work with, he's been in the program for like 20 years, and in the certain one we're in, which is codependency, he's been in it for over 10 years. So I know that when I reach out to him, he's gonna kind of be able to see things in a lot more clear vantage point than I would. Plus, he's not like actually experiencing it, so it's always easier to see someone else's issues when you're not that person. And of course, that's a whole nother thing, and we don't want to just go and tell people their issues. However, it can be nice if someone asks, then I can offer some feedback from an objective view. And so that's exactly what this is that when I'm feeling triggered, I can reach out to the person and be like, yo, I'm feeling triggered. I saw this. I drove by a liquor store, or I smelled weed while I was walking home. And they can be like, oh, okay, I totally feel you, I understand. And then just being able to talk about it helps it get out of the system. And then no longer is it just kind of swimming around in the head, where what can happen a lot of times is when it swims around in the head, it manifests into actual action. And now that it's getting out of the head, put two and two together, the chances of using again are a lot less likely. And then number four, which is one of the most powerful ones I've found on this journey, and it's specifically powerful because you don't need another person for it. Sometimes I cannot call on the people in the recovery group or the person I'm being coached by, sponsored by, and plus I don't want to like bombard them all the time with my issues, like texting them every 3 minutes when I get a trigger. Like that's gonna kind of ruin the relationship and annoy the shit out of them. So now I have found that journaling is super powerful, and in specific, journaling with the non-dominant hand. So I'm right-handed, and that means I often journal with the left hand. There's something about it, I'm sure it's like on Google or something, that it activates different synapses in the brain, and I find personally that it really helps clear it out. And because when I'm writing with my right hand, it's almost like so easy to do that it's too easy, and then I get bored with it. When I'm doing it with the left hand, I kind of have to think about it and really kind of repeat it over in the head so I can write it down. And in that, getting it out of paper, getting it out of the head, it's just so helpful. And then what the really cool thing about journaling is that I can start to see different habits as I kind of read through the journals or kind of reread the notes. Personally, I don't like save them and then go back through them. Every time I finish a journal, I throw it away, almost like I'm letting go of all the past and the memories and stuff and starting anew. After I journal, like in a session though, sometimes I'll read through it again and be like, okay, so I'm noticing that this kind of thing keeps coming up. Or like maybe I remember like yesterday when I journaled, I kind of said the same thing, and so I'm like, okay, this is a pattern to work on. Now, as you can see, you probably haven't thought about weed once because you've been so focusing on the journaling, and that's exactly the point. It really helps kind of take away it really helps just kind of forget about the substance use and about wanting to use again or obsessing about it. And I find journaling to be a super helpful tool. So guys, with that, we're gonna end the video today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and talk to you soon. Peace.